Happy Thursday. It is Thursday, January 27th, 2022, the last Thursday of the month. I am Sally Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Welcome, Bahram. You are number one today. And I hope you are having a good day, or a good evening, or a good night. And we're going to get started here. Welcome, Frankie. You are number two. You're number one every day. Okay, Bahram, I will give that to you. You're number one every day. All right. I am well. Okay, we're going to get started. Today is supposed to be a fun show, so hopefully we can keep it that way. But you know how my show goes. It can go left, right, straight, forward, up or down. So, okay, so busted. Which would you prefer? Would you prefer to bust your children at your house or have them caught by their partner's parents? On the flip side, would you have preferred to get busted by your parents or your partner's parents? And what I mean by busted, I'm talking about, yes, catching them in the act, having sex, you know. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this a light show, fun show, because we've had a lot of heavy topics this week. So have you ever, almost been caught, or, what do you think is better? As a girl, female, woman, whatever, I always thought that, and I still do, think that it's best that if you're going to catch your children, or if you get caught, you should get caught by your own parents, because women have more of a stigma to them that if they're caught by their boyfriend's parents or whomever, they'll be considered loose, a slut, whatever. But if you're caught by, your own parents, more than likely you'll just hear about it until you're like 95. So anyway, so that's the topic today. So if anybody wants to jump in, I'm going to go ahead, and if you want to just listen, that's fine. But as my show goes, more people trickle in. So, hello, Bahram. How are you today?
I'm good. Just sitting there. I did not expect the show topic to be about that. I thought it was going to be like it reprimanded, like if you were in trouble for doing something wrong. So that.
Okay, all right. Okay, so all right. Welcome, GP Man, and welcome KAG. So again, if you want to take it to being caught or reprimanded doing something else, but I actually was talking about sex, so catching your children having sex. But if you want to say caught doing something else, then that's fine. Welcome, Tea Party.
No. So, I mean, I think the sex part is an easy one. That's obviously I'd rather be caught by my own parents. It's never happened to me. I'll put that out there, but certainly, definitely my own parents. And the reason for, I would say, mainly because obviously, unless you're really, really close with your in-laws, then even then, I still think it would be better to be your own parents, because they've brought you up, they know everything, they've seen everything before, and they know your intentions with that girl or boy.
Well, hold on, let me stop you. Okay, so you're saying your in-laws, but what if you're in high school? What if you're 16, 17 years old and they're not your in-laws, they're just your girlfriend or boyfriend's parents? So would you say the same thing?
And yeah, definitely the same thing, because I'm sure at that point you don't know the girl's parents well enough, and you don't know how they're going to react. And I'd probably just run if her dad was a handyman or something. I would just run.
So if you were caught by your parents, what do you think your parents would say to the girl? And I'm
Um,
talking, and I'm not talking about you're older now. I'm talking about when, say, you 16, again, 16,
yeah.
17, 18.
Um, can I ask, is the age of, what is it? The age of when you can have sex in America? What is it?
Well, technically, so it's not considered, rape or anything. You're supposed to be 18. Oh, we'll put it like this: um, if you're a man who is over the age of 18 having sexual relationships with a girl that's younger than that, then it's considered assault, and well, it's considered rape. Which of
Oh,
course,
okay.
kids, younger than 18 are, ha- um, having sex. So,
Hmm. See, here in the UK, it's 16.
oh,
So,
okay.
I mean, as much as if my parents caught me at 16, I mean, there's nothing. My parents are very lenient, so as long as it wasn't a regular thing and I was being respectful about it, and they caught me, and it was not, I wasn't flaunting it or doing it under their noses. It would just probably be just a little talking to, um, just to lay the ground rules down and say don't let it happen again. But um, you know, like I say, 16 is the age here in the UK. So I don't know if
Okay.
that changes anything for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tea Party, you have the mic. Thank you for waiting patiently. How are you? Tea Party, you have the mic. Okay, Tea Party is not on. Welcome that guy. Okay, so Mariam, let me ask you this. At the age of 16, okay, no, well, I actually have another question I want to ask first. So when you said that your parents would say, don't do it again, do you mean don't do the act again or don't get caught again?
Oh yeah, definitely caught. I mean, they know we are red-blooded males, and what goes on, and my parents were certainly not stupid, and in that regards. But I know my mum wouldn't have liked anything like that to go on, or for her to hear anything, or obviously catching, and it would have just been, look, be more. Uh, be more thoughtful that we might come in the door, or something like that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, GP Man, he put in an interesting point. He said if the woman is over 18 and the boy is under 18, the law doesn't really care. Do you think that's true? And since you say in the UK, it's the age of 16. So if the girl was over
Yeah.
16 and the boy was under 16, do you think it would be the same, that the law really wouldn't care?
See, I don't know about that, because that is one of the main arguments. Like, with it's probably the feminist argument that whenever you hear stories about like female teachers and they're having sexual relations with a school student boy that's maybe 13, 14, 15. I actually don't follow those stories up. I probably should look into them, but I don't know. I think the female teacher is let off a little bit more. I'm not saying she's completely let off. She probably loses her job or that, but I don't think the law gets involved. I could be wrong, but if it's the other way around, and the male teacher is thrown in jail, and definitely loses his license to teach and all that. So that is one of the main, when the feminist argument, and I've heard that one being thrown up.
Okay, well, here in America, we've had, you know, when you actually hear about it more and more, in my opinion, you hear more and more about female teachers having relations, with their young students, and they're actually going to jail. So, and they're getting, some decent jail time,
Mm-hmm.
because it is considered, rape. I mean, and plus you're supposed to be in this position of authority where you're the teacher, and here you are taking advantage of, of this, young boy. So, so yeah, welcome Crucible Man and Chill. but it's interesting because for me, I I've never been caught before, but if I did, I would almost want to, when I was younger, get caught by my boyfriend's parents because my mother, oh my God, my mother, huh.
Yeah.
I mean, she would have just gone ballistic. I mean, she just would have, no, it would not have been good. And I would have continued to hear about it, until the day I died. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think that rings a bell with when my mum became pregnant with me, she was only 17, and from what I won't go into detail, but from what was described to me by my mum, that my grandma and my great grandma were just mortified that it was done out of wedlock, and that kind of rings a bell with like what you're saying, maybe more so with my story, that in those days it was more, stricter, and that kind of thing was, marriage was kind of more important than, doing it out of wedlock. And I think maybe I may be speaking for you, but maybe that was why, like, if your parents felt that those kind of things should be
yes,
waited
yes,
until you're, yeah,
yes, yes. My mother was very much um, very much you don't get, pregnant until you don't do anything until you get married. So yeah, she very much was like that. So again, welcome Chillwell and Crucible Man, that guy GP Man, and we have Frankie and Balram is on mic. I'm gonna pass it to Crucible Man. So Crucible Man, you know what we're talking about today. So what do you want to add? If you want to add anything.
No, I agree with you as far as which set of parents I would have preferred to have been caught by. Um, yeah, because my parents were fairly open minded, but yeah, you would never have heard the end of it. It would be much easier to go home, and you wouldn't be able to forget about it with your girlfriend's or your boyfriend's parents either, because they're going to remember. They're not going to remind you necessarily the way your own parents would. So you at least don't have the constant daily presence of dirty looks and silent treatments and things like that. But when I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, I had a very serious girlfriend for most of my high school years. And back then, sex was popular. People were having sex, obviously, but getting pregnant back then was really, really taboo, much more so than it is now. And I remember where she lived, she had a furnished basement, and we would spend a lot of time at her house for obvious reasons. And we'd go down there, and we would, fool around. We were 17 years old, so we would do what 17-year-old kids do. And her father would make a point of never, ever, ever coming down there. And her mother, because to be caught by your girlfriend's father is really not my idea of a fun night. So you really want to avoid that. But her mother was very, very cool, and her sister was very, very cool. And they would occasionally come into the basement when they knew we were down there, and they would deliberately stay out of the room that we were in. Occasionally, her mother might say something like, I hope you're not doing anything down there that your father would disapprove of, but they were kind of wink, wink, nod, nod. They kind of knew what was going on, but they turned a blind eye because her mother was very cool. But yeah, can't imagine why you would want your own parents to have that, be able to hang. Your parents could hang enough things over your head, for God's sakes. You really don't want that one.
This is true. And my mother was very good at hanging things over our heads. Okay, Chill, welcome. What would you like to say? You have the mic. Okay. Well, while Chill is coming on, I just want to read a couple of things that GP Man said. Let me go back. Okay, he says male criminals are especially mean to pedophiles. I can confirm they make them sit separate, ban them from TV regular beatings. That's probably why Epstein killed himself. And I replied, I don't think Epstein committed suicide. GP Man says, yes, that's true. Women have it super easy for the same crime. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. And that guy, I think Epstein knew what prison would be like for him and was allowed to kill himself. So That's interesting. And GP man, when you say women have it super easy for the same crime, you're using the word super easy, and that guy used the word allowed in terms of Epstein killing himself. In terms of women, I don't think, and I think in the last 10, 15 years, especially, I can't remember the woman's name. She recently died of cancer. The one who went to jail, I think, for about 10 years for having sex with her student, where she got pregnant. Then they ended up getting married. His parents, helped raise a baby. Then I think they had another baby, and she recently passed away from cancer. But I think women more and more are not getting it. Are not. I don't think they're getting off pretty easy, especially when it comes to teacher student. Yes, Mary. Is it La Tournette? I'm probably chopping up her name. Yeah.
I think I misspelled it, but that's the one you're thinking of. Yes.
Yes. That is exactly who I'm speaking of. And I think that her case is probably the one that has made everyone else's cases be judged a bit tougher. So, but I could be wrong. Chill. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So, hey, what do you have to say?
Well, I mean, you were speaking in reference to the actual situation with the women and the. I mean, either way, man.
No, I'm saying, well, first it was, would you prefer to get busted having sex by your parents or your partner's parents? And now it kind of changed to, women. The conversation kind of changed, so you can talk about anything.
Got you. But for me, I easily, my parents, I'm sure they busted me. It depends. I don't even know they were. My mom, I don't even know what she would say. To be honest, she probably let me go. Keep going. Depending on the age, like my mom was pretty liberal when it came to sex and teenagers, and she knew that was happening. She just wants you to be careful, not bring no babies home. I only have one daughter to this day, so I always took heed in reference to something like that. But my parents, my dad probably would have been rooting me on and stuff. Like, like depending on what age, if it's like teenage years, yeah. But if it's like, I probably would be more embarrassed, busted, like having, by myself sex. By my cousin. That happened. That's a true story. It was like, I kind of
That's
another
topic here. Okay.
Yeah, but other than that, I would definitely. But my parents would be easy. That wouldn't even. As long as I'm not in their bed or something, that probably would be worse.
So do you think the age, Crucible Man says too much information. So do you think that the age has something to do with how your parents react? You're 16, 17 compared to, say, you're 21, 22, 33, 34?
No, well, the age nowadays, let's be honest, kids are having sex at 8, 9, 10 years old, at least trying to.
True.
And they got phones and they got porn and they got all the stuff at 5. I always tell the story. I was following some 5, like it had to be that young, maybe like 5 through maybe 8. Some little boys that were in the Walmart, and I said, "Hey," and one of them boys dropped his phone and picked it up so quick and ran, and it just was crazy because they were just walking around Walmart watching porn. So it was like, so it's yeah, that's out there. So that would be crazy. At any whoever parents is whatever, that's catastrophically crazy. But as far as the teenagers, nah. I mean, you don't want to get caught by nobody else's father. That's the worst.
Okay.
You having sex with somebody for a dude, yeah. I don't know, yeah. But my parents, they probably would have just had it talking to me. They might have said something, but it wouldn't have been super embarrassing. And it doesn't matter the age. Like 20, you're 20-some years old, and your parents, they can't catch you. They just seen you at that point.
No. If you're living in their house and they walk into your room, to me, they're still catching you because they're still your parents and it's their house.
Oh, come on. My mom and my father, they seen everything I got.
Well,
And they seen
I'm sure they
everything I
have,
got,
but
So I'd be like, hey, sorry,
oh
probably
boy.
get on in front. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah. And in reference to
All
like
right.
the teachers, and man, I had a hot teacher in 6th grade. And I always look at these stories, not to be a pervert, but like I was like, man, if I was in high school and I dated my teacher, and she went, I probably would like, if I could get my high school teacher today, if I knew where she was at, I was in love with that woman. I was
Okay,
16.
but you're 16. She's an adult, and she should
Yeah,
know better. And while you're chasing
yeah.
her, and if she allows something to happen, more than likely she's risking going to jail. So
But I would have been
yeah.
mad at her, is what I'm saying. I would have put her in jail, that's for
Well,
sure.
no, I understand that. All right, I'm gonna pass the mic. I'm gonna go back to Bahram because Chill brought up something which I think is an interesting point. What do you think? What do you think in terms of your parents? And again, I'm saying the word catching you, and whether you're younger or older, watching porn. I mean, do you think it's a big deal for them to see you watching porn when you're younger or now when you're older? Would you want to catch your children, porn or?
I think I'd rather be caught having sex than watching porn.
Okay, may I ask why? That's interesting. May I ask why?
I don't know. It would just be so embarrassing, and God knows what type of porn it could be on the screen at that moment in time. Like, I don't know. I think doing the act is like more respectable than watching porn. And I mean, depending on the types of parents you have, maybe your dad would be proud of you, and your mum would be like, if you're with a person that you've been with for a long time, there's nothing really they can say, like what Chilwell said. I think it's all really circumstantial. So yeah, I'm going with I would rather be caught having sex than watching porn.
Okay, I'm passing the mic, Crucible Man. Crucible. Hello. Sex or having sex or watching porn?
Yeah, that's and when you throw Chill Will's little thing in there, that's the trifecta, all right. Yeah, there's no good answers on that one. I would agree with Bahram. There's something more legitimate and natural, I think, about because everybody has sex. I don't know that everybody watches porn. That's maybe different today than it was 30 or 40 years ago. Porn is pretty ubiquitous. We didn't have YouTube back then. Porn was pretty much restricted to Playboy, and I know there's another one, magazines and whatnot. But something about now if you're watching porn with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, I think that somewhat legitimizes it, but it's kind of like sitting in a dark theater in the middle of the afternoon, with the bijou. There's nothing good going on there. So it's going to reflect poorly on you, even though it might be a very natural thing. So I think there's a deviant element. I think it's an unfair one, and a kind of a perversion thing that comes with watching porn, that people kind of label you. So yeah, I think there's a more respectable angle to actually doing the act than watching other people do it. There's a weirdness, I think, that people associate with porn, even though I think it's perfectly natural.
All right. Before I let you go and pass the mic, that guy says more people watch porn every day than watch the Super Bowl. Do you agree with what he said?
Yes. Maybe not on that particular day, but yes, I think that's very accurate. I think porn is something that has become so mainstream, and I know there's certain types of it that are a little bit weirder than others, but I think generally speaking, and the reason I agree with that is because the thing that's moved the needle on porn, I think there's probably on a percentage basis, and I've never seen any statistics, so I'm just pulling these out of my ear, but I'm guessing that the percentage of men who watch porn today probably hasn't gone up significantly from what it was 40 years ago. But I would guess the percentage of women that not only watch porn today, but admit to watching porn today and have no compunction whatsoever about admitting it. In fact, some of them are proud of it. You've got that liberating thing that has come with women's sexuality and things over the last, several decades. And I think that is what kind of put the stamp of legitimacy on porn. Because when you have couples sharing it together, what's the difference between that, going out to dinner together, going dancing together? It puts a stamp of approval on it. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. Before we go on, Chris Unplugged said, that we all agree that we're talking about adult porn. So I want to make sure that anybody in this room who is thinking anything else, please leave. So we are talking about adult porn. It went from being caught by your parents. Now we're talking about porn, which I don't mind talking about. But again, we're talking about adult porn. Okay. So, Chill, I'm passing the mic to you.
Yeah, I think that was a given. But somebody said something crazy about child pornography. Yeah, you should slap yourself for that.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm going to go look for
ridiculous.
whoever said that. I'm about to
Yeah,
bounce you guys out. So no, we're
yeah,
not talking about child porn.
that's
Okay, go
just
ahead, Will.
ridiculous. But for the most part, I think I definitely, for that question, porn is definitely looked at more than the Super Bowl on that day. Like it's probably 10 times as much. Because I mean, especially in a world perspective, people don't watch football like that, the Super Bowl like that. But in America, definitely, like it's guy, like kid, like a teenager, probably looks at porn probably 10, 15 times a day when he's doing certain things, like easily. 12, 13-year-old boy, it's easy. So it's not even a question of what's more, but it's just that's a whole nother subject, man. So, but yeah, I definitely think it's astronomically more than any Super Bowl.
Okay. So, Crucible Man said, and Chill, I'm still talking to you. Crucible Man said that he thinks that more women are watching porn than before, but it hasn't really changed for men. I kind of disagree with that in terms of the men, because we have social media that is out there. Now you're not going to the local newsstand or whatever, and you're getting the copy of a Playboy that you're trying to hide up under your coat, whatever. Now if you have access to the internet, porn is everywhere. So I would think that the amount of men who are watching porn is probably more so now because you have more access to it as opposed to 40 years ago. Chill, what do you think?
Amount of people in general watching porn has exponentially, I've just through the roof with our phones. It's so much like good porn it's not like the rinky dink, HBO. When you're a little kid, you remember HBO, you have HBO, and it would have like sex time and the frizzy people because you didn't, you little boys trying to look at the HBO and you didn't have it. No, it's really on your phone, like in real life. Like that's yeah, that outnumbers everything, and it's women too. More women are definitely watching it, I believe, but it's probably triple the men as well, and kids. Not literally kids, but like teenagers. When I say kids, or just literally people who shouldn't be watching it at this point because they have phones. So yeah, I think it's a normal thing. And somebody said it was private. It depends on who you are. If you're using it for certain things, yeah. But other people, it's not like. Well, I don't think it's so private, especially women, because it's just not as. It's like, hey, look at this. Like, oh, look at this. If you're busting in the college dorm and there's porn on TV, all the guys watching, like, look at this crazy. Like, it depends on the scenario where it's private. I don't think it's too private. The act of what you may use it for can be private, but as far as porn in general, I don't think it's.
Okay. Crazy lady, you have the mic. But before you start, I just want to read what that guy says. He says, any notice that phones were getting smaller and smaller till phone porn became easy. Then suddenly phones are getting bigger and bigger. And crazy lady says, makes you think. So crazy lady, you have the mic.
My son, he's like, I don't know. Yeah, he was like 13 years old. And I found porn underneath his mattress.
Did you say something to him, or did you just let it
Well,
go?
he wasn't at home. He wasn't at home when I found it. I was changing out his mattress because I bought a new mattress. And so I went in there and I stripped his bed, and then I, flipped up his mattress because I was going to, take it out there. And I flipped up, and there was all those girly magazines. I was like,
So did you ever say anything to him about it, or again, you just let it go?
Well, yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because he came home and he saw his mattress sit outside. He came in like he had this like look on his face. He goes, "Is that my mattress outside, Mom?" I said, "Yeah, I got you a new mattress today." So I changed out mattress. He goes, "You did it?" I said, "Yeah." And he just had this look on. I says, "Yes, Alex." I said, "I put your magazines back underneath the bed." He goes, and then he just, I don't even know why, but he goes, "Well, what magazines are you talking about?"
So that's as far as it went.
Well, I kind of chuckled, and then he went racing upstairs. So I called my dad, and I told my dad, I was like, "Hey, Dad," I says, "you need to come over." I says, "because I think Alex is a little embarrassed." And I told him what happened. So my dad came over and had a talk with Alex and stuff. So I don't know what they talked about, but yeah, at that age, he was really embarrassed.
All right. So I'm going to ask you, as a female on the panel, would you rather have been busted by your parents caught in the act, or would you rather your boyfriend's parents have busted you?
Neither. I wanted. Okay. So yeah, anytime even after I got married, had my own children. Okay. Obviously, my dad knows I have sex. I won't have sex in my father's house.
Okay. All right. And I know some people who
Especially
are.
if he's home.
I know some people who are like that. Okay. All right. Is that more because you are uncomfortable, or out of respect?
Out of respect.
Okay. All right. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Do you want to add anything else before I pass the mic?
No.
I'm pretty sure you'll think of something. All right, Bahram. So I am back to you on this whole porn thing.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I really want to do a show for my own podcast on porn. It's been a topic it's been on my mind for a while to do a show on, because I've done a bit of research into the effects of it, and I don't want to be a complete party pooper, but I feel really strongly about, I think, again, being a conspiracy theorist looking into these things, I think it's, a lot of, sex sells, but it also has effects on our brains and on the way we behave with people, and more importantly, relationships with our loved ones. And I don't know if I caught Crucible Man right. Did you say that you don't think it's gone up since 40 years ago, that more people are not, it stayed the same? The same people are watching porn from 40 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think Chill Will made a good point. I was kind of looking at it from a general interest level. Men have always had a very high interest level in porn, but Chill made a good point. It's so ubiquitous, and there's so many devices that we can access it on today. That's a game changer. Like you said, you don't have to go to the newsstand, and you don't have to pass the magazine around, and somebody loses it or somebody decides they want to keep it for a while. You can watch porn at a moment's notice. So in that regard, yeah, I would say the number's probably higher. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know there's a stat, and I'll probably butcher it, but it's something like when Pornhub began, the subscribers they managed to get within a space of a month or a week was like the same amount that some huge website like a Facebook or something got in a year. It was something crazy like that, and that just goes to show how many people are, watching porn. And the same with the women, men. Point is, I'm sure it's in the 60 percentile of men are on there, and 30 odd % are women. Yeah.
Okay, so Bahram, before I pass the mic, you said something about a conspiracy theory and porn. So I'd be interested to know what type of conspiracy theory you're referring to.
I mean, I should probably get away from saying that. I just say that because it's like I'm quite proud of being a conspiracy theorist, especially after the last couple of years, with COVID and some of the things that we've kind of predicted and said is going to come true. But with porn, I've heard a lot of, I listen to podcasts all day, every day while I'm at work, welding away, and I've heard a lot of people say that when you watch porn, your dopamine levels, it's a drug. And when you use so much of that dopamine, serotonin, whatever it is, to when you're watching a screen and you're you're looking at these images, that high can't be found anywhere else, and it also makes men like docile. The way I describe it is when you go home at nights and your wife or your husband does something really nice for you, cooks you a meal, takes you out on a date or something. Men or women can become more like zombified. They're like less appreciative because of porn. And I mean, there's probably other things, but it's a huge percentage of that feeling is because of porn, because you're always searching for that high. And the other side of things as well, you could start watching just normal porn and then you're searching for the next type and the next type. And then eventually, and I'm not saying all, again, this is very broad, but a lot of men, some men that end up committing rape and sexual crimes and stalking are men that are, totally addicted to sex and porn. So there's a lot to look into, and I am going to do a show on it soon, but I'll need to get my research out. But yeah.
Well, hopefully it will be a live show. Just saying. Okay, I'm going to go to Haribo before I go back over to Crucible Man because he just jumped on. So Haribo, this is your first time on. Welcome. What would you like to add?
Well, to be honest, I'm caps, but I'm banned, so no one can fucking listen to me.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for it. I appreciate you patiently waiting. I appreciate it. So,
fine. And you know what I'm like, so I am respectful, and I understand what you're talking about, and I really agree. What I believe and what I can ask everybody is that, don't you think, as we was growing up, that everything's been sexualized? And it seems like that, and it seems like the TV has got more sexualized than media, every program, and I think it doesn't help either within the movement. So it's really sad to see as I'm getting older and older. I'm only 36. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a git when but when I actually look at it on a genuine point of view, I look at my kids, and it's scary. It's scary what our kids are being put in front of now. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say, to be fair. Thank you for giving me the time.
Okay. Now, Crucible Man, I'm gonna go to you and pick you up on I'll say Haribo and not the other name. What do you think of what he said in terms of things have been sexualized now? Do you think that's true, or what do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't. Sorry, I couldn't agree more.
Sorry.
Wait, hold on! Don't. This is why I say don't interrupt. So, okay, Crucible, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing I think that has really changed over the last 40 years, and I agree with his comment about things being sexualized. You can just see it in either TV commercials or television programs or movies, and you see it most in young girls. Men have always been very sexually promiscuous, but women, if they have been, they've been conditioned to kind of keep it to themselves. Now you see little girls, and I say little girls, I mean, maybe 8, 9, 10, 12 years old, dressing in really inappropriate, in my view, clothing and promiscuous and suggestive kinds of things. And that just increases, and women have enough pressure on themselves for body images and body shame.
Okay, I do believe he got a phone call.
Hello?
Yep, I assume you got a phone call. So go ahead.
I got rid of them, yes. So I think there's enough pressure on women for their bodies and their image and everything without starting it at a young age. But the other thing I wanted to mention that you don't hear about very much anymore, and I'm curious, we only have a couple women on the panel, but I'm kind of curious from you, Solid, or if Crazy wants to chime in. For the longest time, and it's true, men have been labeled as visual creatures. They're always leering at women. They're always, looking at porn, and they're looking at women's butts and things and their cleavage, and that's been going on for since cavemen were around. But women have always been had this image that they're not visual people, and they're not turned on by certain pictures or things like that. And I think that's always been a fallacy. I think in the last 30 or 40 years they've become more comfortable speaking out about their visual preferences and the fact that they like to look at men. They like to look at porn with men. They're freely admitting these things. I think that's the difference. But as a man, I don't have a frame of reference. So do you think the fact that women are more comfortable, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they watch more porn, is they're just more comfortable saying, why can't I be like a man in that regard? Men don't get criticized for being visual people. Women have the same, needs and desires and things as men do. We're going to look at men in tight jeans or a tank top or whatever it is, and not be embarrassed and not, have to apologize for it. So I think that's been one of the key things that's moved the needle from a porn or sexualization standpoint in the last 40 years. But I'd be curious as to any of the women on here agree or disagree.
Well, Crucible, is interesting that you say that. My friend Feisty One is here, and we were out having lunch, and we had a waiter that he looked good. He looked really good, and I told him, and I do tell men that I will go up to men and I will say, "You are really a nice looking man." And if he's, a black man, usually I'll say, you are a nice looking brother, whatever. So yeah, I do say that. And I think that a lot of women, also, feel the same way. But, I do believe it was, Chris Unplugged. He says during medieval times, women were made to cover up most of the body, not just medieval times, probably, all the way up into the 20th century, women were made to cover up. And I agree with Crucible Man. When you see a lot of these younger, girls, 8, 9, 10, dressing in a very sexualized way, I'm surprised their parents even, buy them clothes like that. And I think that comes from watching these videos, whatever, and they're trying, to be like J-Lo or whomever is on, TV or whatever. So that's what I think. Passing the mic to Will. Chill Will, what do you have to say? Chill, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't know I was. Never mind. But yeah. So basically, with that being said, like as far as women, I think women are like. I would think that women, they're not dead, so they're gonna look. You know what I mean? You always get the sweatpants jokes. And that's been forever. Like since military time, hey, it's a great sweatpants joke. Like, hey, wear those again. So I think that happens. In reference to the actual, somebody said something. I think it was Crucible Man mentioned something about. I wrote it down. You know what? Go ahead. Go to the next person. I'm gonna look. I can't find my piece of paper. I wrote it down. He said.
You're talking about sexualization. Sexualization. You're on about.
Oh no! That's
maybe not
a given. Everybody knows. What up, Caps? Everybody knows that sexualization of the TV is there. I mean, I don't know. It's a thin line between appreciating sex and being free about it.
Yeah.
But is it?
But
I don't know. I didn't live in the 70s.
Isn't it,
wait, hold on, please, no interruptions, please.
I didn't live in the 70s. I didn't live in the 70s, but I heard it was pretty free. So I kind of figure like we just catching back up with those times. And there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I think it's attached to certain maybe religious beliefs, and when our kids are exposed to it at a young age, that's a problem. And then the dopamine thing, whoever said that, Byram might have been, he was right on point. That it can be a drug, absolutely be a drug, and can take away from your everyday life. You want your partner to do what they do. You know what I'm saying? You want them to look like a certain thing so you can be able to just get that heightened drug feeling when you do watch porn. So that's a thing that can interrupt a regular relationship. Or you just meeting a nice girl who isn't physically enough for you because you want a girl that looks like the chick with fake boobs and butt on the porn. You know, that's impossible almost, unless she does it. I mean, I guess you can go get it, but then a lot of times that comes with other things. So it's definitely the issue, but it's being abused. I think it's not being respected. It's not coming from love. It's coming from just abuse of it, and so that's the worst part.
Okay, Caps, now you can talk. Now it is your turn. You have the mic.
I'm so sorry. I've got to move because my missus is chatting to her sister. So, but you know what? Like he says, like everything, like with to do with sexual, like porn. You know, the thing with porn is that, like, a lot of older people. Like, I'm 36, so a lot of older people was like, you know, they use magazines. You know, do you remember back in the day? You'd see them on the street. You know, you'd see them by the bushes. You know, stuck together. You know what I mean? Whatever tickled their fancy. We was kids. We was like, what the freak's that? You know, we don't know what that is. You know, but when we got older, you'd realise what it was, and you know. But now the kids, this is the difference. You know, now we'd have it weren't easily accessible to us as kids when we was young. We were still playing Aki Traki 1 2 3 and like, you know, silly little games in our little play area, you know, kind of thing in our streets. But now, like, you know, it's everywhere, and that's what scares me for my own children. I've got my own child right now in front of me. I've gone away from my kitchen, and I've got my 8-year-old playing or watching YouTube, and he's watching all these mad YouTubers, and he's, you know, but like, you know, what do you want? This is the problem. Like, I prefer watching YouTubers than sexualized videos, if you know what I mean.
Okay, all right.
You know, so it's like even music is sexualized so much. If anyone who says it isn't, like, look at the like Nicki, all of them wet ass pussy, and you wanna whap, and you wanna put that on like normal radio and that. It's like it's blatantly they're chucking it in your face. Even when judges go to like they've got a paedophile or something, they get nothing of a sentence. Probably because they're all the fucking same. Do you know? It's like it's fucking disgusting. The world is fucked up at the minute, and I'm scared about my kids. To be fair, but yeah, do you understand where I'm coming from? I think it's horrible. Like, and porn in itself. Look, we all need a wank every now and again. Don't get me wrong, but fucking hell, man. You know, it's one of them as well. You know, like no one. You know, it's just the way it's been put nowadays. It's like it's everything. It's like everything is to do with sex, and that's a really bad way of looking at things. And even to earn money, that's even worse. You are literally, you are allowing, like OnlyFans, you're publicising and allowing people to think that that's okay. And in my eyes, it's fucking not. It's absolutely demoralising. You've got no dignity whatsoever. You are an absolute. You've got no respect. You've been brought up. You should. If you've been brought up properly, you should know what I'm on about. If you've not been brought up properly, then you've been obviously. I feel sorry for you in a way, but whether you got loads of money or not, that respect, you can pay me enough money to lose my respect like that. Not like that. No way. You know, or if I do something that I don't normally do. No, but if I don't do something I normally do, then I get paid for it, and it earns me money. Money isn't everything, and that's what it's doing. It's making people lose their respect for themselves. And it's a shame. And I'm going to shut up. I'm sorry, but it is a shame, and it's all to do with sexualization. It's literally to do with it, and you can see it. And if it ain't that, it's something else. But yeah, sorry to go on a little bit. I do apologise, but yeah, enough love. Thank you for giving me the time. I appreciate it.
Okay. Crazy lady, you have the mic.
Crazy lady's asleep.
Oh,
Crazy
thank you for
lady, you there?
unmuting me.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
you
I
have the
s-
mic.
see, to me, I mean, it's like, I mean, there are some people who are addicted to porn that watches like way too much, but I mean, it's just like, I don't know, it's just sex, you know? I mean, it could help people. But yeah, if I, what do you call females that, I'm like you, Solid Blue. If I see a good looking man that is like the perfect specimen of the male human form, I'm gonna say something. You know, I'll compliment the man. I don't care. I'd be like, hey, you look good.
And I don't
You know,
see anything wrong with that because there are some good looking men out there.
I know there's some good looking women out there. I pointed him out to my husband before. Be like, Ross, did you see that chick? Especially out here, with during the rave ones. I mean, there's some, you know, they're just beautiful examples of the human body. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
appreciate it all. Like,
I do appreciate it too, especially a man who is a construction worker in those dirty jeans. Yeah, but that's just me. Okay, Bahram, back to you. Any comments on what people have said? Welcome, Saba,
Um,
and WTP. Welcome.
I do agree with I think it was Haribo that said about sexualizing everything. Even when I think back to when I got sexualized, it was MTV. To be honest, it was these music channels on MTV, and at the time it was like Eric Pritz, Call on Me, the video to that, and to me it's got worse and worse as time has gone on. Netflix had kiddie porn basically on we all know that program that got alerted in the news, that disgusting documentary, and I just think it's the I tried to stop myself, but I'm just going to say it. But see, the people that run our world, and I'm not talking about your Donald Trumps, your Joe Bidens. I'm talking about the real people. They know what they're doing. They put these things on our TV screens to demoralize us. That's the word, decadence and demoralization. Our soap operas, here in the UK, we've got our Coronation Street EastEnders, and you guys have your ones, and everyone's having affairs. There's always a serial killer in the street, and there's always a teenage pregnancy, and it's all to demoralize us at home. We're watching the TV and we're accepting these standards. When you're watching a film or a TV program and someone, a teenager gets pregnant and the parents are fine with it, then it might happen to you, and you'll think back, your subconscious thinks back to that time, that program or that film, and you subconsciously think to yourself, well, they were fine with it. Maybe I'm being a bit too, strict. Maybe times have moved on. Maybe I should accept this. And I see that so much, not just with the topic tonight, but just a lot. And it's a concerted effort by big corporations, by governments to demoralize us in every way, so that we accept less and less as time goes on. So I'll pass the mic on after that rant.
No, that wasn't a rant. Bahram, I always like to hear what you have to say, and that is sincere. So, Crucible Man, you have the mic.
Yeah, I think, what's happened over the past few decades or so when it comes to, sexualization and, and I'm not a prude at all. I've certainly been around the block a dozen or so times. So I really don't want to be a hypocrite here, but what ends up happening when you sexualize at an early age, kids don't understand what that means. It's being imposed by people who do know what that means. And I think they're too young to process this kind of cognitive dissonance. I guess I would describe it as, they're taught to behave like little girls and do children things and do, things that little kids do, and yet you've got this competing component out there that they've got to be dressing a certain way and acting provocatively and whatnot. And I wonder what that does to their view of sex. I have to believe it cheapens it on some level, but let's face it, everybody who has sex these days and probably 100 years ago was not in love. So you don't, on the one hand, I know Crazy Lady said it at one point and I agree with her. It is just sex. On the other hand, if you want to teach your kids that there is a linkage, ideally, between sex and love, I don't think dressing your 10-year-old or 12-year-old girl like Madonna back in the 80s is necessarily the way to, get that lesson across. But I think the comfort level of women, and this is a compliment, the comfort level of women in the sexual arena over the past 30 or 40 years has really been the game changer. I mean, men have always been of a certain mindset when it comes to that. And I think women have probably been too. They've just been conditioned to keep it to themselves. So I think there's two sides to that coin. Sex is just sex, and we all do it. It doesn't have to be a forever thing. It doesn't mean you're getting married. On the other hand, in the hands and the minds of young children, you got to be careful because you can send the wrong message, particularly if you're sending mixed messages. So that's all.
Okay. Chill, you have the mic. You have the mic. Chill, you there? Okay, your mic is on, your mic is off. Okay, Chill is out. He's probably coming back in. Okay, I'm going to go to Saba. You have the mic.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Saba.
Hello. How you doing?
What's up, Caps? So we're talking about catching your children in the act, doing the thing.
We're talking about this, and it's turned into porn, and it's turned into a couple of other things.
Kind of digress, but it's good.
So, yeah, I think that. So from what I remember learning in school when I was around 13, 14, it wasn't what I needed to be hearing. I needed to be hearing the suffering and the sorrows and everything that comes along with taking the risk at a young age. And
so what were you hearing?
The mechanics and the sciences about sex ed, and just like I don't know, it was not. I don't think it was sufficient looking back. Sure.
Okay, so basically you had just your basic sex education class where they basically say the birds and the birds and the bees. This is the male anatomy. This is the female. This is what you do.
Right.
So that's okay.
But however, so when I was that age, I lost my virginity at 13, I can't remember, 13, 14, with my first, boyfriend. And so the school somehow found out about it and actually bypassed the authority of my mother and allowed me to leave campus and go get birth control pills without my mother's knowledge. And I was in the 8th grade.
So you were sexually active. Not very.
So why? So when that happened, did your mother ever find out that they allowed you to do that?
Well, yeah. I mean, eventually I told her like down the road,
And did
but
she have some words to say to the school?
she was upset, but she was she's always upset whenever like the school gets involved. Like I was always in the counselor's office, I was always in the principal's office, and like she would get mad at me, of course, for getting in trouble and stuff. Um, but I think that she was doing a lot of things like abusing me and stuff, and so she was kind of, I think, discouraged from actually going after them because they knew about the abuse. So I told them.
Okay.
So, but my mom, she was definitely not a great parent. So she could have done a lot better too. But I don't know.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go to Chill since you are back. What would you like to say?
It's hard with the sexuality thing because I think sex in general, and when you talk about any time, especially on screen, it's just a negative connotation to it. It's not appreciated. It's not, that's the human body being naked in itself. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of shame to that, and some people see it differently. And so if I see it differently as an artist, I may want to put stuff out there, and then when I put it out there, it may be misunderstood. If I'm telling a story, um, it might be a real story. So what's the line? Is it me putting on screen, or is it me writing about it? So if I'm a 15, 16-year-old and I grew up in a certain environment and I want to tell this story, because art imitates life, vice versa. Where do I become, being inappropriate about talking about it? I just act like it never happened, especially when this goes very rapid through our communities. Um, or should I just just write about it, or should I not make a movie about it? With probably not. I think probably those actors are probably of age that just look really young most of the times. But if intent can matter, but overall, there are the perverts of the world. They're gonna look at this, they may love it. You know what I mean? But where's the line? Is what I'm saying. I mean, and then people say things are getting worse. I don't believe that. I think in the medieval times, a lot of times those people probably were smarter than us. They were well developed. You know what I mean? As far as mentally, they had nothing to do. They had no TV. They had a lot of technology. So if you're 16, is a different 16, 200 years ago, maybe than it is now. Than a kid that doesn't know much, that isn't well versed. I mean, it's just I don't know. I feel like our grandparents and our great grandparents were smarter than us if they were educated, if they were able to get educated, because they read a lot. They read a lot more. I got a grandfather that was darn near through college when he was, college level educated when he was like 17, 18 or something. And it's just I don't know. So we can call it getting worse or not. But the thing is sexuality, when it gets abused, period, is the problem. Like I don't mind the arts of it. Yeah, it could be, you can debate that, but certain venues, like certain ways, like they're just getting exploited and they're being abused, and that's when anything becomes just negative in general. Some of the stuff that we're talking about, I don't think is necessarily meant to be. I know it's conspiracies for this and that, yeah, but there's some things are just not right. You know what I mean? And especially if it's something against somebody's will or some weird fetishes that are out there. And yeah, and that's the stuff I don't agree with. Some stuff is up in the air though, because if it's like a mom, 16-year-old, 2 kids, 15-year-old. My mom was early. She had 2 kids about the time she was 15. Now how do you tell that story without getting, being like on Netflix? How do you tell that? What I mean? Should she not ever tell her story? You know what I mean? And so it's a story that needs to be told. It's just so I don't agree with that necessarily is in cahoots with anybody that's up above. There's several things, but I don't necessarily know if that would be one of them. But
Okay. All right, I'm gonna go to Crazy Lady. You have on here. You said Ross watches a lot of porn. The only reason why I'm asking it is because you put it out here. So I'm gonna ask you, how do you feel about your husband watching a lot of porn? Does it bother you, or you're like, whatever?
It doesn't bother me. I mean, I could care less, whatever floats his boat, It doesn't bother me. Um, it like but maybe that's because I also grew up overseas, Like, do you know that the United States has more sex crimes, right, than the rest of the world combined, statistically? Or at least it
Why do
was
you
when I did
why do you
research
think
on it.
that is?
Because everything is like hidden. See, like over Germany has them. I don't know which all countries still have them, but they're like they're brothels, And so if you have someone like that likes like some voyeurism,
Voyeurism.
thank you. uh, they can go down to the red light district, check it out, pay whatever, and have that sexual need done. You know what I mean? So, but over here they can't do that. So what are they going to do? Go and peep on someone, or uh, you know, take out their sexual fantasies or whatever on a victim. You know, uh, yeah.
No, I
That's
mean
my
no, and you make a very good point. And I remember when I was younger, in my 20s, and I learned that a lot of the European countries do have places like that, and I always thought that America should, that we should have places like that, and if we did, maybe there wouldn't be so many sex crimes, because people would be able to go someplace where they can have their sexual needs filled. They have to pay for it, but they would be able to have their sexual needs filled. So I am going to go to Caps. You have the mic.
Come on, Jake.
Right, like what Chillwell was saying, I fully agree with what Chillwell was saying, and I love Chillwell, and because he's real, he's got kids, he's like me, he's got kids, we've lived it, we've done it, and we're still doing it, and we're still learning, and this is the point. And it's not just about what's being put in front of children, it's more to the point of like what we do. And it's really important that what we do is, and I teach my kids, I tell them straight away, fuck sex education. I tell them, I've got two daughters, I've got two sons, I will tell them, I got told when I was a kid, like my mum she was very brilliant in that way. She was amazing. She spoke to me, she spoke to me, and but my dad was the opposite. Dad was horrible, and he smacked me up if I looked at him different, and it was a different life, But I don't hit my kids. I talk to them. I sit them down. I tell them off. I shout, but I don't hit. I don't physically hit them. I put them in order. If they're hitting one another, I will put them in order. I'll grab them and put them in order, but I will not hit them, man. And like, this is where life has changed. It just depends on how much respect. And you look at my kids. My kids are individual people. They're not robots, and they're good. And this is all about sexualization as well. It is literally on the same path, because this is how you be with your kids to make sure that they don't get warped into it. This is where you make them realize about this matter in hand. It's up to you as a parent to literally do it, in my eyes. That's how I feel, and that's all I think. And if you think I'm wrong, cool, tell me if I'm wrong, but it's up to you as a parent to teach them, not the school, not sex education. It's up to you, man. You had the little bastards, fucking teach them. And you can hear them now, look, they're brilliant, they cook their own food. The fucking man's little, I've got four of the little fuckers, and you know what? They've all got their own fucking movement, and they know the score, and you've got to have that. And if you don't, you're losing out, man. You're losing out. And my kids laugh and they're happy. They ain't crying. And they know the score. They know. And you know why? Because I've seen the shit side of life. And you know when you see the crap side of life, you learn from it. If you don't learn, you're an idiot. You got to learn from other people falling over as well as yourself. It's really important anyway. I think it's so important, and you can teach. In my kids, I'm still learning myself as well, by the way. So, yeah, that's the way I always see it. But yeah, I'm going to shut my mouth. Thanks.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go back to Crazy Lady because I think you said I didn't cut you off, but I think I did. Did you want to add something?
Am I unmuted?
Yeah, you are. We can hear
Okay,
you.
cool. Because I'm driving right this second. um, my son. Last I knew, okay, and I saw him. What was it? Yeah, in June when I got married, and we had a discussion, and he was still a virgin. Okay, and I asked him why, because I had this vision of like that 40-year-old virgin thing going on in my head. And I asked him why he was, and he said because sex was a personal thing and with the energy exchange. And I'm like, okay, I can get that. Jade, she lost her virginity when she was 19, and I think she lost it then because she was tired of just like being pressured. All her friends weren't virgins. She was the only virgin that she knew of, and she just wanted to get it over and done with. And she goes, and what happens if I get married and he isn't any good in bed, but I wouldn't know he's not any good in bed. I was like, okay, but so, and I'm a very open person. Jade I talked with her about sex, and I didn't really ever hide anything from my kids, and that's all I have to say.
Okay. Saba, you have the mic.
Oh shit. Okay. Sorry, I took off my headphones, so I hope it doesn't echo. I think that's such a weird. Huh?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hold on. Let me put my headphones on. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I think it's so funny how kids could actually think that they need to have sex with their partners to know if they're good in bed because they might marry them someday, and they might they want to know if they're good in bed. Like that is such a weird. And because I remember kids like early high school age and everything saying that back in the day, and I don't know, I just kind of had a little flashback there. But what's the actual question?
There was no question. We're just we're just talking. I mean, everyone's picking up pretty much on what other people have said.
I see. Well, yeah. I mean, let's face it. Our kids are being groomed. We've been groomed. If you watched Disney growing up, or anything, pretty much on media, like there was something in there that has groomed you. And then, of course, MTV didn't help much. And I don't know how other people have grown up, but I remember when I was a kid, there was a lot of predators, adult predators and child predators, like children who are predators.
Wait, are you saying predators that you heard on the news, or predators that you knew that were around
that
you?
I've encountered
Okay.
As a child. And it's just weird. Like I hope that, and I don't know what it was like for other people in other parts of the planet around those times. But I feel like sex abuse, molestation and stuff like that it happens more often than some people think. And I think that it has to do with somewhat. I think it partly has to do with a conspiracy theory about the MK Ultra. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's pretty interesting. You should look it up if you want to know more.
All right. Well, for me, growing up, I never had any anyone who was sexual deviant, if you want to call that.
That's
I
good.
never had to deal with sexual abuse or anything. No one in my neighborhood, that I knew of. Everyone on the block, I grew up in one of those neighborhoods where everyone knew everybody. Everyone knew who everybody was, which kid belonged where, whatever. But I never had anything to deal with that in high school or even college. I did not start meeting people who were victims of abuse, sexual abuse, until I was a lot older. So I do feel very blessed on that end. But you guys have brought up a lot of good points, and I do want to ask a question. Okay, hold on, Caps. I will give you the mic in just one moment. There is something that someone said that I'm looking for their comment because everyone's really been talking today in the chat. Okay, I'm going to continue to look for Caps. You have the mic. What would you like to say?
I was just going to say something really small. Like, it's like babysitting, and due to the fact that I knew certain things when I was a kid and what my mum and dad used to speak about when I weren't even in the room, and I found out. And not only that, it was like, one minute. Yeah, I'll get a joint on, don't worry. Fucking, like, what really got me was that when I got older, I realised what that conversation was actually about. And it was about a real bad thing. And when I got older and older, people were telling me about shit that happened to them. And I was like, wow. And I'm just so glad that I got told mad shit when I was younger, so I would know to not. And I swear on my life, Becky, has anyone ever babysitted our fucking kids? 4 of them. No. Has anyone ever babysitted our kids? Literally, like literally.
Charlotte.
No, once. But family, that is, though, isn't it?
Funeral.
Yeah. No, but seriously, it is literally, and no people are in the house. Yeah, but no people are in the house. No people are in the house. And it is so important because I don't want to hear them fucked up stories when I get older. Imagine you have a little drink and you let people in your house, and you got your kids in the bedroom. Fuck that.
Wait, Caps, hold on. So are you saying that you don't want to hear anyone's fucked up stories in terms of them being abused as a child?
No, I want to hear it. What I'm saying is, what you've got to do is deter it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
You've got to deter it. You've got to make sure that when you know about all that stuff, you've got to be the person that not obviously forgets about it. No, not at all. You're intelligent enough to know because you've heard the stories. I've never been through that, but what I will say is that I'm going to make sure, because of other people and other people's stories, which is really important for me to make sure that I safeguard my children.
Okay, all right.
That's all I was saying.
That is fair. That is fair. That is fair. Okay, I have a question, and I am going to start off with Bahram. That guy says, I know a guy who raised his daughter in a very liberal home. He didn't molest her, but he didn't care if she saw him having sex. He was always talking about sex. She ended up a stripper. He found out when he went to the local strip club, and there was his daughter. So, Bahram, my question, this is a question for everyone. So please listen, everyone. Do you think that your actions as a parent or as the guardian in a household, and you are sexual, you're free with sex, you have a lot of people coming over, different boyfriends, different girlfriends, whatever, having sex in front of your children, do you think that that's going to end up like this particular person? She became someone who stripped, or do you think that it doesn't matter? Bahram?
Oh yeah, definitely does. I've said this before on this show, in fact, that as kids we are sponges, and whatever we see and we are taught and our moral guidance from our parents or our grandparents, or eventually it becomes your friends. It shapes you, it molds you into the person that you're going to become. And if you're seeing those type of things as a child, it's going to make a mark on your life. And to what degree, that all depends, because I'm sure there's people that have seen the same as that girl and not became a stripper, but it definitely makes a huge difference. Another way I could put it is when I was listening to Caps there telling that story, and we could all guess, what he was going on about. You take that person, or you take a serial killer. I listen to some true crime podcasts, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, and my wife's really into these types of stories, and I asked her one day, but before I even listened to any of them, I bet you there's these serial killers, these pedophiles have got pretty much a lot of things in common, but one of the factors that might be predominant is that their parents were not loving at all. They're either split up or abusive. And we started listening to, I think it was the Jeffrey Dahmer podcast, and in the first 5 minutes, the person doing the podcast had said that the mother was bedridden, I think, and the father was very abusive to the mother. And that it's just an analogy to use in regards to what the original question was, is that we soak up everything that we see when we're kids, and it turns us into the people that we are to become. And I think the only way to break out of that habit is to go on a journey of self-improvement, look into things, philosophy, and educate yourself and all that good stuff.
Okay, so Bahram, I'm going to ask you this, and again, this is something that I want other people on the panel, if you guys can answer this for me. Bahram, do you know who Cary Stayner is?
No.
Do you know who Steven Stayner is?
No.
Okay, Steven Stayner was a boy who was kidnapped back in 1972, and he was kidnapped by a pedophile, and this person kept him, I think, for about 7 years. So, and I do believe that Steven Stayner was kidnapped at the age of 7. So, 7 years. When he was 14, the man who kidnapped him kidnapped another little boy. And Stephen knew what he was going to do to this little boy. So he took this little boy and he ran, and he found a police officer. They were able to get away. Stephen found a police officer so he can return this boy. The little boy was never hurt or anything, except for being kidnapped. But Stephen was reunited with his family, and he ended up getting married. He got married when he was like 21, 22. He had a family, and unfortunately and tragically, he died, I do believe, in a motorcycle accident. It could have been a car accident or a motorcycle accident. And this happened back in the 70s, and I am that old, so I was around then, and I remember this was a huge story. His brother, Cary Stayner, all this had been going on with his little brother Stephen. His little brother is kidnapped by this pedophile. He comes home, whatever. They're dealing with, the family's trying to deal with this, and they were a lower income family. And back then, you didn't have the counselors and everything that you have now. And Cary Stayner became a serial killer, and that's why I'm bringing this up, because you said the thing about the serial killer. Do you think that his brother became a serial killer who raped women? And this went on for a while until he was caught when he killed and raped 3 women. Do you think that what his brother went through affected Cary Stayner becoming a serial killer and becoming a pedophile?
Who you asking?
I'm asking Bahram.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch. Did his brother hear or see any of the abuse. I thought you said that Stephen was.
No. Stephen was kidnapped by a pedophile, and he
Yeah.
was gone for 7
For
years.
7 years.
But do you
yeah.
think that the brother Kerry became a serial killer who ended up killing and raping women? Do you think that what his brother went through affected Kerry becoming a serial killer?
I mean, I don't know the whole facts of the story, but if Kerry was privy to what happened to his brother, like when he was 14 and he was released and then told the story to his brother and all the details, the gory details, and then went off and became a rapist, then you don't know. Like, and even if that didn't happen, and Kerry was, there are exceptions to the rule. I'm just using my knowledge of these serial killers that we know about and the pedophiles that we know about, that there usually is a trauma in their life, in their as their kids, or there's a mental defect in them. And this isn't all the time, but I mean, you could even look at actors like Macaulay Culkin and the one from The Goonies, all these child actors that we now know have gone through sexual abuse, and the Hollywood predators have been all around them and they've openly talked about it, and a lot of them end up dying at a young age or turning to drugs to deal with the trauma, which is it's horrible that these people have gone through that, but they're just using coping mechanisms like drugs and whatever to deal with that pain. But yeah, I'll have to look into that one a bit more. I didn't know about that story.
Okay. All right. And Crucible Man, I'm gonna pass the mic to you. And the reason why another reason why I brought that up, because I thought it was so tragic that their parents lost both of their children. I mean, Kerry Stayner is serving, I don't know if it's life in prison, but I know that he is in prison. But, I just thought that it was just sad that, that their parents lost both of their children in such a tragic way. So, Crucible Man, what do you think? Do you think that had anything to do with serial killers and why people? And I know this subject has totally changed from what we were talking about, but what do you think?
I think no matter what topic or what area you're talking about, whether it's the behavior.
Why would you say white people anyway? Just on a serious.
Whether you're talking about serial killers or talking about sexual deviancy, or the guy the father who was having sex in front of his daughter and she became a stripper. I mean, any kind of moral deviancy that children get exposed to at an early age is going to cause some level of trauma. And I'm not making excuses for any of the behaviors, serial killers or things like that, but what you end up doing sometimes in the mind of a child, because they're not mature enough to process any of this stuff, is you're normalizing very abnormal behavior. And in the case of the woman who became a stripper, you end up with self-respect and self-esteem issues, and you end up trivializing and cheapening your body and sex. And so I think there's a real morality thing that goes on at a very early age. And I think Bahram said it right. He used the word trauma. And I'm not making excuses for the behavior that comes after that, but put yourself in the shoes of a 7-year-old child who was kidnapped, and God only knows what was done to him, the things that were said to him. Your mind is just being shaped at that age. So I don't see how, just as if you grew up in a really, really solid household where everything was done the right way and everybody behaved properly, that would carry forward with you for the rest of your life, presumably. So the opposite, I believe, is true as well. You're normalizing behavior that kids aren't mature enough to say, well, wait a minute, that's out of line with what I've seen or what I've experienced in the past. They don't have that frame of reference yet. So I absolutely agree. Anything they get exposed to at an early age, good or bad, is going to stay with them.
Okay. I'm going to go to Chillwell. We haven't heard from you in a bit. So Chillwell?
Hey, this is an interesting topic about the son. I'm not quite sure. I forget this Stayner.
I
think Yeah, Stainer. Yeah, that's interesting to me. I'd have a stern belief though, when it comes to people that far off, they obviously have past. Typically, I feel of hurt, but in some instances, I think there's just a biological imbalance within them that sets them there. You know, some people can appear cool, but you put 50 different people through the same thing, you'll get 50 different results. So you may get the one, I don't know, Tyler Perry, comes out of abuse. And then you might want the guy that goes the Jeffrey Dahmer route, or, so I think a lot of that is just biological. And depending on what we go through, it can send us backwards or forwards or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, that's always dangerous. But it's just far as, just a normal topic with sex we were talking about. I don't know if being free-minded about sex in your household can result in just an. Because I know people. I dated a woman that was definitely, she didn't mind. Like, their parents would promote you to have sex in that. It wasn't a disrespect thing. It was natural. If y'all were together, hey, y'all. I'm not gonna. Y'all go to the basement. Nobody want to hear that stuff, but y'all go to bed. I'm in my room. Matter of fact, me and your mama about to. He was saying with me. The missus about to go up there and get it on. You know what I'm saying? It was her dad. It was awkward. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just taught to, especially from a Christian religious background, I'm taught to respect parents and all of that. But it's like, cool. That was cool. Like, it's natural. You know what I'm saying? And it's always, but it's all out of respect. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. Like, if it's abuse, if somebody's bringing the different women every week and just running through them, like, yeah, just the thought of it. Like, I need to mess with many as women I can, forget life, forget them, let's use them up. That's what you're gonna get. But if it's in the light of, oh, I'm free, I love, and I want to experience, it'll be a different connotation on that sexual activity. And so if I become a stripper, that's on me. And then we got to go through some things to become who we truly are in life. So what we are now, hopefully, will grow and won't be that person at 30, 40, because we've made our mistakes. And sometimes that's had to happen regardless, because we can't shield our kids. There's no pamphlet to do it. We can't shield our kids or our family, from that. So I feel like it depends on, like I said, if it's abusive or not.
Well, Jill, it's interesting that you say that we have to go through some things in life to find out who we really are. So again, I'm just coming back to Carrie and Stephen Stainer. Do you think the fact that his brother Stephen was kidnapped and abused as a child by a male pedophile had anything to do with Carrie becoming a serial killer?
I feel like that's. I want to say it's apples and oranges, but I haven't done enough to think about it to say, hey, I know about something like that. So I can't really give a educated.
Okay. And Chris Unplugged says yes. Okay. Saba, you have the mic.
Okay, so the psychology, when it comes to psychopaths, they not only absorb everything like every other kid does, but they will become faceted with certain things that fulfills their psychopathic hunger or whatever is going on with them. Like, they'll get stuck on things, and I can see how if because obviously this guy was born a psychopath. And so when you're a psychopath and you're at a certain age and you go through certain traumas and there's ideas planted in your head, he could have heard people, the grown-ups, talking about what happened, or maybe
okay. So hold on. Let me interrupt you for a moment, because I think Chris and I are going to say the same thing. He was born a psychopath or a sociopath. Yeah. You really think he was?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what I meant too. Like,
and not all psychopaths are bad. So keep that in mind. Okay, not all psychopaths are bad. There's a lot of psychopaths out there, actually. and they tend to make very good leaders and other things. So being a psychopath does not mean that you are a serial killer or you're absolutely going to be a serial killer or that you're a dangerous person. So just keep that in mind. Okay, there's a lot of different factors that go into this. Perhaps if the abuse, the kidnapping, everything didn't happen at all, perhaps I believe, in my educated opinion, that perhaps he may have abstained long enough to develop and to mature, and hopefully had found, something to catch his attention. And how old was the serial killer brother when the 7-year-old was kidnapped?
Let's see, hold on. Stephen, let's see, he was born in 1965 and Carrie was born in 1961. So there was a 4-year difference. So when Stephen was kidnapped, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So Carrie would have been 11 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So did it give you any other details on the younger brother's upbringing or personality?
No, I mean they were basically brought up in the same household. They
Never got in trouble?
low income family. Neither one of them ever did. They were just regular. Both their mother was a housewife. Father was a blue collar worker. Again, low income, but they never got in trouble. Came home every night, had dinner together as a family. No problem. The problem started, or the trauma started, when Stephen was kidnapped.
And
I will say that when Stephen came home, the father had a problem with Stephen, in the sense that he always would say to him, "How could you allow a man to do that to you?" And remember, this kid is 7 years old, so. For Stephen,
wasn't he 14?
He was 14, but still, I mean, he's 7 years old when he's kidnapped. This man is doing this to him for 7 years. So how can your father say that to you? How can you allow this man to do this to you? So maybe
that sounds like a lot of dysfunction there.
But I'm just saying that. But also, we're also talking about back in the 70s. So. So Carrie's listening to this. He's 4 years older. By the time, Stephen comes home, Carrie is what? He's 18, whatever. And then again, maybe all the attention was given to Stephen and Carrie was kind of left to the side. For the last 7 years, everyone was all into where's Stephen, and Carrie got kind of tossed to the side because, everyone was wondering where his brother was.
Yeah. He didn't get fulfillment when he needed it. And a lot of narcissists form full-fledged that way. So based on my experiences with certain people, I had a very chaotic childhood. I don't know what it was. Both sides, my mom's side, my father's side, they were all degenerate psychopaths, sociopaths, criminals, you name it. And I honestly don't know how I turned out so decent. If I am decent, I don't even know if I am. But, so I feel like I can really get into, because when I'm with someone in person, I deal more with their subconscious than the surface. In fact, you could probably say something to me and I won't catch what you just said, but I picked up on how you felt or picked up on what you were thinking, and so I can see how, if someone is born with a certain disorder or whatever, having an experience like that and then having the depravity and the verbal abuse and probably the frustration and just the void, emotionally and developmentally, could definitely be a formula to create a serial killing psychopath, for sure. I don't really know how else to explain it.
No, that's fine. I mean, it was it was just a question that I was asking.
And
Okay, Caps, you have the mic.
Hello. Yeah, all I was going to say, quite simple, really. With the question, like, what was the question? Say it again about the brother.
Just, do you think that his brother being kidnapped when he was 7
When
and
he
being
was kidnapped
sexually
when he was
abused
7 and sexually
has
abused,
have anything to do with the older brother becoming
As
a serial
anything
killer?
with the older brother, yeah. So in a way, I think infliction, more to the point, like, you know, that it's got to have something. I'm not going to say it's definitely going to have something to do with it, but the traumatic movement in that just alone is definitely you know, it's gonna move you. But you know, like, I don't believe that you're born like it, but I do believe that everyone can trigger. You know, everyone can pick up a knife and stab someone. Everyone can all be a murderer. You know, it's no, I know, but it all depends on. It depends on how you get brought up. To be fair, in my eyes, I don't know. Maybe like in a way that respects. You know, being told every day. You know, maybe.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. All right, so I am going to wrap the show up. So I'm going to go around and give everyone the mic for their last words. And please, no interruptions while people are speaking. Welcome, Dude. Okay, we'll start with Bahram. Do you have any last words of wisdom?
No, I was just going to add something there to the end. It was just a quick point that something that sprung to my mind about that story that could add to the brother becoming what he became was in the 7 years that the younger son was missing, the mother and father could have been grieving and spending 90% of their lives grieving and feeling sad, and the older brother felt maybe left out and felt unloved, and that can add to that, which is, you know, these are small percentages that all add up. You know, when you take a serial killer and you break down their lives, you'll find these things, and they do take effect on our lives. So just wanted to add that. And again, thanks for a great show. Thanks for everyone and being respectful and adding their pieces. I love this show every night. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And we appreciate you. I've had a lot of nice feedback about you, Mr. Bahram. So just so you know, people like you. Okay. Crucible Man, you have the mic.
Yeah, another really good show. Obviously went in a bunch of different directions, but I think, you know, it has primarily revolved around sex in some form or another, whether it's porn or getting caught by your boyfriend's or girlfriend's parents. But I think, you know, sex is like everything else in life. In the hands or the minds of the right people, it could be a wonderful thing. But in the hands of the minds of the wrong people, it can cause a lot of damage and a lot of confusion. I thought it was interesting. I know she's not on anymore, but Crazy Lady made a comment about, you know, brothels. And I know prostitution is legal in Nevada. I don't know anything about Nevada, but I wonder if prostitution was legal across the entire United States, if that might demystify the whole sexual concept a little bit. It might help women with their body image. I know that sounds strange when you're going to be, you know, having sex with strangers for money, that would help your body image, but maybe in the long run, a little more transparency, no pun intended, you know, would be good, because I think early on our attitudes and our mindsets get shaped by what we see early. And I think if we were to, like I say, demystify the whole sexual thing, people wouldn't be so hung up on it and use it to such damaging ends sometimes.
Okay, that's a very good point. That is a very good point. I'm going to go to Chill. Chill, you have the mic. Any last words?
That's a very good. I think that's a very good point as well. I believe when there's reference to sex or any kind of profession around sex, I think just the religious base of how the country is grown and rooted, kind of brings that negative connotation on certain professions or just sex in general. It just does, and it tends to create the judgmental aspects of what we're supposed to, if you got certain religious beliefs, you're supposed to not do. And I don't know, I just tend to keep an open mind. Although I might not like something, I don't necessarily have to. It doesn't necessarily have to be wrong or right. And I think that it is about those type of professions. And uh, somebody said about when you asked the question about Rainer, some things are just chance, and that's the key to life, knowing when and when not to know when that may be the case. Because I think I have to really delve into that. But some things can be literally just chance, and we overthink it. Sometimes because I can be a conspiracy theorist as well at times, but I have to. I know I'm a hyper analytical as well, so I kind of got to know when I'm like, am I just am I making something out of nothing, or do I have something here? And that's the art of kind of life, right? And I don't know. I think that we take that in consideration, because I'm not quite sure if I go around the globe and see, a bunch of psychopaths, or that would be like a thing. I don't know if you can really compare the two, but that is interesting though. It's a good question too, and a good day, good podcast. Hello and goodbye, everybody. And
Thank you, Jill. I will see you on Monday. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go to Caps. Any last words?
Yeah, I'm going to say one thing. Well, I'm going to say many things because you know what I'm like. But you know what? I fucking absolutely love you all. And I think you're absolutely brilliant. Bar, Chill, SJ, yourself, Solid. I think you're a brilliant host. You're an amazing host.
Thank
because you keep everyone at bay, especially myself, because I'm like, oh, God, shut the fuck up. And Crucible, absolute, think you're a brilliant bloke. And I do, Sean, every one of you, I think you're amazing. And you know what I wanted to say is that of all the, like you say, sexual shit, you know what? People are going to do what they're going to do. But you know what I do believe in everything is, you know what we should do? Yeah, we should do that, but in our own time. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't not talk about it. We should definitely talk about it. But I just believe that we should do our things in our own time, if you know what I mean. And be able to have I think opinions are like arseholes and everybody's got one, and I think that everyone should be you should relate to that, because then you allow people to have difference of an opinion, and it's amazing when that happens. Like today, it's brilliant. No one's hitting on each other for the stupid opinions, even if you think that they are. But that's what I mean. But brilliant show. I think you're brilliant. I'll see you soon.
Okay, and I thank you for that. And Saba, you have it's your turn. You have the last word.
All right. So, aside from biological being born psychopath, I think your upbringing and your environment really, really affects the person. Because when I was a kid, things were really chaotic, and I was actually the good kid, kind of way better than them. But when I grew up, I did some bad stuff. It could have gone really far. I'm glad it didn't. I used to be a violent person, and I was a stripper for almost 15 years. And something that I started doing is luring unwitting men into giving me a bunch of money by telling them, I'm going to meet up with them, whatever, and I would meet up with them and I'd rob them. And I don't know if I'm going to regret sharing this, but I guess it's like food for thought when it comes to thinking about that. It's just,
You still there, Saba?
for a second.
Okay.
But a sociopath could. Are we running out of time? Sorry. I don't know. It's a crazy world we live in, but I'm good now.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not judging you. When I came up with this, just so everyone knows, when I came up with the title of my show, My Turn to Talk, and I knew I was going to be on Podbean, and I knew that I was going to have an interactive show. My turn to talk is not about me. It never was. It was never about my turn to talk. I've never wanted to have a show where I was talking at people. I wanted to have a show where people, shared, their opinions and what have you, whether you disagree, agree, whatever, where you think that opinion is based in fact or whatever. If it's not based in fact, whether you, believe whatever. My turn to talk is actually about you. You're having your turn to talk. So that is where that comes from. And again, I say this show does not work without you. And one reason why I am, I harp on the fact of please don't interrupt, because everyone has their turn to talk. Everyone has a point that they want to make. And if we talk over each other, you don't hear what the other person is saying. And you can't really comment or do a rebuttal if you want to on what that person says. So I hope that you guys appreciate what other people are saying, because even though I may not always agree, I appreciate what everyone says. People may say things that may piss me off sometimes, may not piss me off, whatever, but I still respect what people are saying. And I think that, and I hope that I have a show where people can come on here and they can have their turn to talk and they can say whatever they want to say. So I have a lot of topics that are coming up. People are giving me topics all the time. If you have a topic you want me to do or consider, please send an email to me, solidbluesister@gmail.com, or some of you guys, we talk back and forth on Twitter. That's fine. Some of you I know personally, but again, this show, My Turn to Talk, it was not about me. It was always about you and the people who came onto the show to have a voice. So I just wanted you guys to know that. And again, I say that this show does not work without you. And I appreciate all of you. And I am extremely sincere when I say that. So on that note, today is Thursday, which is my Friday. I will see you back on Monday, or I'll see you around Podbean if I pop in on some other shows. But always speak your truth, go where the wind takes you, and have a wonderful day. And thank you, Frankie, for your super chats and Podbeans. Thank you, Feisty One, and Bahram, and Caps, and Crucible Man. Sava, thank you. Mama Bear Tracy, Juju, Crazy Lady. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Did I leave anyone out? Dude, and I know I'm leaving someone out. Trying to make sure I say everyone's name. I don't want to leave anyone out, and they listen to the show later and say, "Hey, you left me out." Chris, Unplugged. Thank you, everyone.
Are you posting this?
Thank you. I'm sorry. What?
Are you posting this?
Yeah, I publish every one of my shows. All of my shows are published. Only one show was not published, but every show is published. And everyone, and Sava, I don't know if you picked up, once again, Frankie, she gave you some love. I don't know if you saw that, Sava.
Oh, where? Let me look.
Well, hold on. Let me go back. She said, it was while you were talking. Oh, she says, I love your thought process.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thanked her.
So she is giving you some love. So, yes.
Thank you, Frankie.
And Frankie, I'm still trying. I know we've been talking back and forth. I'm still trying to figure out how we can do a show together. I'm still trying to figure out
I'll
how
give you
that's
an app.
going
I'll
to
send
work.
you an app. It's a TTS app.
Okay, because Frankie has some challenges that we need to overcome for that. So, okay, y'all, the song is ending. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.